Today's guest is Nitrell Townsend. Nitrell had a near-death experience where she encountered three blue beings, and today we're going to learn about it. Nitrell, thank you so much for joining me, and welcome.
Thank you for having me. Okay, so 2015, my near-death experience, it took place towards the end of the year. At the time, I was single mother, 3 kids. I had just really started parenting all over again. My children are spaced out. So my son had to be maybe 3 or 4. But my light bill had ran sky high, and I'm paying full rent. I stay in California, so I don't have to explain how expensive it is to live out here. Well, during this time when my lights cut off, I'm a person, I always think of a better task to do. So when I was young, lights had got cut off with my mom. And that thought of just lights with the candles and having that, it really took me back to a dark place. So I started to look online and figure, what could I do to generating? I figured out to get a generator. So I purchased the generator. Okay. Now at this time, I'm still, I'm depressed and I'm going through a lot. I was actually going to church all the time at the time. So I grew up, I was raised in church. Let's just start right there. I was raised in church. So when it comes to God and who God is, that has always been a front line in my life, period. But at this time, and I'm starting to question God. I'm asking, why am I going through these? And I'm really calling out to him, not realizing that I was actually calling to him. So during this time, just let me explain to you. In 2015, the Ark of the Covenant, there was something in the news where it was found and it was moved to Russia, but it was like a magnetic storm that hit it. You can look all of this up in Wikipedia. I later found this out during this time after this happened to me, what made me look into it. So it was a plug in my kitchen and it had a shortage in it. And I'm home alone. I end up taking the plug to plug it back in. And when I did, I got shocked and my whole left arm turned blue and I passed out. And my body was like burn marks and everything on my arm a little bit. So I'm frantic at this point. I'm shaking. My body's trembling. I'm afraid. I called my oldest child at the time. He was 18 or 19. And I just was so frantic. I'm like, just can y'all please come home? And it's like I'm starting to get flashes. Like I can just see just flashing going back. Like, how can I explain it? Like, I couldn't remember what was going on. Like, I'm blacking out, but then I'm in my bedroom. Then I end up in my living room, but I'm not remembering how I've gotten to these rooms. So now I'm getting scared because I'm home alone. And I want to know if what I'm experiencing is real. So when my children got home, I'm talking to them and I have a couch at the time in my room. My baby son was with his father. So it's just me, my kids, and my son's girlfriend. And I had a friend over. So now I'm talking to them and it's like, we're joking. And I'm like, you guys don't understand. I'm like, I felt like I died. Now I have my TV on, but now I can just hear my TV all of a sudden going, shh. And I'm like, do y'all hear that? They was like, what? I'm like, y'all don't hear that on the TV? I'm like, shh. And I can hear the frying sound. Like back in the 80s, remember when the, after the air, when the show go off and then you hear that frying sound, that's the exact sound that I heard, right? So it like really took me back. I'm like, I've heard this since I was a kid, right? And all of a sudden, I'm standing there and I'm standing in the middle of my bedroom. And all of a sudden, I can look down and see myself. Now I'm above. And I start crying. I said, am I dead? Because, I didn't know what to think. I had no idea what was going on. But I'm standing there and I'm looking at my kids. But now when I look up, I'm looking at these 3 beings. One is about my height, I'm 5'3". So one is about my height. There's another one that's about maybe 6'1", give or take, average heights. But it was one like my size, so I kind of felt comfortable with the one my size. Had diamond shape in the middle, beautiful. But the color of it, I cannot explain to you this color. It was such a beautiful blue color. But I was always scared. I didn't like to even look at Thriller as a kid because I was frightened. So I've been one of those type of people frightened of things, but my body, I felt so happy and I felt so loved. I felt so loved. I felt love. And it was so comforting that it was one of those feelings that I felt as a child with my grandmother, the love that she used to give me. And, excuse me, I asked them, I said, am I dead? They said, no, you're not dead. And they had a soft speaking voice. Now, let me rewind back a little bit. I'm not speaking like I'm talking to you. Me and these beings are communicating telepathically. Our mouths is closed, and I'm like, inside my head, it's like, I'm aware of what I'm doing. I'm like, I'm not moving my mouth, and they're talking to me. And they said, Source that's the first time I heard, besides God, Source. They said, Source has always heard your prayers. And the childhood that I had, I prayed a lot for peace, and I prayed a lot for things that I wished would change in the world that probably most 7-year-old kids shouldn't have been thinking about, but I did. And I was like, am I gonna die? I'm like, is my kids gonna be okay? Because I'm fine with being here. I was prepared to stay because the love, it felt so beautiful. It was like, okay, I can stay here. And they was like, no, you have to go back. They said, we brought you here because it is time. And basically what they told me, that I had a certain time for me to waken again, to know who I was, because it would be a part in time where all of the collective, and that's when I first started hearing 144. And I'm like, what is 144? And they're telling me all of these things that I have never known about. Now, I'm from New Orleans. My family is originate from New Orleans. My grandmother made it her will to keep us away from any type of tarot card reading, any type of like stones or anything like that. She just strictly was a Christian. Bible, that's it. We don't do nothing. She told us, we don't practice witchcraft. She kept us far away from it. So these things that I'm hearing, this is all completely new. I've never heard these words. I've never even been around people that, I have no knowledge to it. Like I had no knowledge to all of this. And I was asking them who they are, and they said, you will find out soon enough. They never told me who they were. They never told me their names. And they said, we want to show you everything that's going to happen. It's going to be a 2020 vision. And we want to show you everything that's going to happen in the world from now up until then. It was more like a projector of just certain, how can I explain it? It's like I literally projected to this time and space, like where everything was taking place. Like I seen Trump running for president. I seen COVID happening. And as I'm seeing this, now this is the unexplainable part. I'm able to talk to my children and I'm telling them what they're showing me. Because now I'm crying and my kids, I'm like, look, my kids, I'm looking down and my kids are trying to talk to me, but I'm just standing there like a vegetable. I said, look, I can't scare my kids like this. And I cannot explain to you, Jeff, how is it? But it is my truth. And trust me when I tell you, I cannot explain how I was able to see what they were showing me, but yet I was able to communicate with my kids and tell them what it was I was seeing. This was not a dream. This was literally, wow, I'm up. A long time of stories. And I just wanted to hear one that was close to mine, and I'm like, well, maybe I'm crazy, like maybe, but then you put the maybe on it, but then how can your kids be witness and remember these things happening? So as they're showing me all of these things, I'm starting to get scared because before, I kind of lived in fear. Like, I'm afraid of earthquakes, afraid of a lot of things. So when they were showing me all the destruction happening over, I told my kids, I said, they're going to lock down the entire world. I said, they're locking down I just have to I'm like, they're locking down the entire world. Y'all don't get what I'm saying. And I'm shaking. I'm like, I'm getting excited. I'm like this. I'm like, no, y'all don't understand. We all gonna be wearing masks. We all gonna be wearing masks. We gonna be wearing masks. I'm like, y'all think I'm just playing? I'm like, this shit is real. And it's literally like, I'm like, y'all need to understand what I'm saying. And I'm seeing all the riots all across the world. Pardon me. They took me underground. There are two places in California that I just, for some reason, get anxiety with. But now I know. Downtown LA and Hollywood. They took me downtown, underground, deep underground. They showed me the human trafficking. Like, I literally seen everything to rock me to my core. You can ask a question if you want to, anytime.
So, correct me if I'm wrong, you were plugging in a wire into the wall and somehow something is shorted out and you got
I wasn't
shocked.
plugging it up together.
Right.
I was actually, and now keep in mind, and this is where the science, and this is why, there's no label I put on myself anymore. I became a scientist. I became a politician. Mm-hmm. I'm in the agriculture. I study the stars, the planets. I have become all of that. I will not allow anyone to label me, because there is no title for what I know and what I'm doing, because I'm in all of everything that is that surrounds what we are, everything that surrounds that has happened, the deception. I have parts of knowledge in every way. I'm not saying that makes me the chosen one, because no one is chosen. We all play a part in this whole universe, not just the world. It's like, do you have to really look at it as school? We're in school.
All right, so you were standing there in the room with your kids, and then you started hearing this static noise.
On my TV.
Just like in the old days, like the Poltergeist movie, where you just see static at the end of the night.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, you went from standing there, and you immediately popped out of your body, and you were above your body in the room.
My body. I'm above my body, looking at myself.
And you were just freaking out. It sounds like, right?
I was freaking out.
Yeah.
I was freaking out.
Yeah. And then,
but I had to beg them, because my kids I'm standing there and they're talking to me. Now, as I said, I have my own, everyone has a dark side. We're not, no one is perfect. And I had a drug addiction problem. So I'm standing there like a vegetable. I'm thinking my kids probably thought I could. Then went with cuckoo's nest. Like, okay, mama didn't, and I'm looking at my body. I'm just like, because I'm channeling with them now. So this was, the amazing thing of it is, it's not what that's why I say I show so much gratitude to Source. I call Source Father, Mother, because that's another part of where my own theories of the divine and feminine, masculine plays a part in all of this. It all plays a big part.
Now, can you tell me again, because I didn't get it clearly? You saw three beings, and they were all
three beings.
They were
three
all
blue beings.
They were all completely blue.
Completely blue. And the one being, one of them had the diamond.
A diamond
in the middle of their eye, a green, beautiful diamond shape.
Okay.
in the middle of their eye.
Okay.
Now, like I said, you think of angels, and at the time, like I said, I didn't even know what an Arcturian, the world that we live in, which is this matrix stimulated world. We're taught to not even think about aliens or really believe in them, right? Because that's what they want you to think. They want to make it seem like that all extraterrestrials are evil when you are the ones that's been controlling the whole time. Mm-hmm. Everything is backwards. Mm-hmm. Everything we know is totally backwards, all the way down from Adam and Eve, all the way down from, yes, and I might make a few viewers a little shaky on this, all the way down from Jesus. No, Jesus was not walking here by himself alone. He had a companion.
He had what?
A companion.
Oh, Jesus.
Mary Magdalene. Yes, she exists. Very much so. And if you look at the world that we live in now, what's making it so hard for women, like I said, I grew up in church. The minister that we grew up with didn't even allow women to minister. Why is that? Who set these rules? You have to understand. If we have a God, you want to say a God is an equal God. He had to create us in order for us to give life. But it seemed like that we were put on the back. See, this is not about race. This is so much bigger than anyone could ever imagine. And this is where I know it comes in for me because so strongly about Black Lives Matter, I've never been with that. I've always strongly believed that all lives matter.
When you were having your conversation with the three blue beings, you said that something about source, something came from source. Source said something.
They told me source.
Yeah. So can you tell me that again? Because last time it was locking up.
Source have always listened to you. Source have always listened to you.
Source has always listened. Source has always listened to you. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Source heard every last one of your prayers.
All right. I like that. Now, were your kids freaking out when they just saw you standing there like a vegetable?
Yeah, that's what made it possible. And that's why, like I said, I was raised God, not so much as the God-fearing. I myself, as a person who I am, I respect Source. I've always have. And I'm never going to spread or speak, and I'll say to make everybody else comfortable, God, because I have my own theory what God stands for. Goddess of divine. That's just my own theory. There are certain codes that we have to break ourselves, and then especially when it comes to words. Source really basically communicates through numerology and symbolism more than anything, because he didn't create these words that were placed here.
You said that Source basically communicates. You said that
through numerology and symbols.
He communicates through numerology and symbols?
And symbols, yes. He communicates well more through, if people was to really tap into from your name, I can guarantee you, from your name and your birthday. And if you really I have did certain breakdowns for myself, all the way down to just how many letters is in my name. See, people have different ways of how they express this is all new to me, as I told you. And COVID was my school. I put myself, especially through school, to concentrate and be determined to really dig into what was happening in the world. But see, there's something that you don't know. Now, Source, the three beings told me that I was going to forget everything that they told me that night. And I did. None of these memories didn't come back till this year.
Why is that?
Because of Source know who we all are. And to know your future from 2015 up until 2021, so to speak, for you to have power to be able to know that type of knowledge, knowing me, I would have tried to change a few things that probably would not have turned out the way it did. I asked them, well, why are you telling me this now? They said, my son had already started a spiritual journey. My son, see, I raised my kids. I broke the family curse when it said the generational curse to allow my kids to be free thinkers. I didn't give them a choice in what religion. You know, we're not doing no Satan. We're not doing none of that. But, you know, I gave my children free will to choose to find who God was to them as long as it was good. I never challenged that. I would not challenge my children. You have to go to church. You have to be a Christian. You have to, because like I said, I started to question. And when you're going to church and your own pastor can't answer these questions for you, like I asked him, where's my 10% going? I mean, do you have a conversation with God that I don't know nothing about? Because it was just too many rules for me. And it was really starting for me to actually get angry at God, because I'm like, well, if this is the God that you guys saying that we have, I think he's a mean God. You know, because when you're really digging off and you're trying to become one with God, one with source, if your heart is truly divine and is good and you want good for the world, anyone, and I would challenge anyone to this, if you fully live off and light, you have to disagree with a lot of things that's in that Bible. Because it's not all love and light.
Now, they transported you from 2015 to 2020. All of a sudden, you just went to like another future dimension, and you saw people
like the house I live in now. I went into another dimension. I seen my house. I told the kids how I was going to look, that I was going to become a planter and start gardening.
So you weren't even living in this house at that time.
I wasn't even living in this house. They told me I was going to become vegan. I did. They told me that I was going to become into crystals. I am. They told me that I was going to, there's only one religion. It's not even a religion. There's only one. And where people is challenging, where the whole hard part to really help the world as a collective, because everyone is challenging everyone's religion. When source, the meditations, the Buddha, all of that plays part into source.
Did they take you to like an underground base?
Yes, they took me underground.
Was it an underground alien
basis where I actually seen alien? Yes, babies.
Was
babies.
Was it an underground alien base under downtown Los Angeles?
Yes.
Because I've had another podcast probably 6 months ago that she went to the same place in LA, underground.
I cannot make this up, and I would not dare try to.
So that's amazing.
I wouldn't dare try to. You know, it's like my main goal is my mission is to get all of the collective together. See, there is the 144,000, yes, starseeds. We do exist. My children are also starseeds. That's another thing that they told me. I gave myself coding and synchronicities, because this is not the first time. I have another divine counterpart that is I have a yin and yang. Everyone doesn't have twin flames. That also very much exists. And if people really want to challenge that, come on, people, let's just think logically. But the Adam and Eve, no, Adam did not pull Eve out of his rib. When twin flames are born, they're one soul, but two people, right? So if you look at Adam and Eve was the first twin flames. If you want to just say Adam and Eve was the first humans to hit Earth. And I mean, I have my own theories, and I could be wrong, but I've broken the Bible down, and it seemed like I get so many downloads as I keep reading things. And I just kept saying in the beginning, it was dark. The world was dark, and it was all dark. And then there was light. It was good. They always try to make it seem like the light is good and the darkness is so evil, and we all have to actually go through a dark night of souls to even come to who we are. So you make everything just seem, just so darkness. And we can all just agree to know that reptilians and were the beings that did a lot of evil and still has. I mean, that was revealed to me off top. But where it comes into play.
What is the significance of the number 144?
144 star seeds of Those are human people that carries the same DNA of the divine extraterrestrial of the Galactic Federation. Is a United Federation. I know my girl. I looked at her, the Cosmo Agency. See, I let Source lead me to you. That's how I found you. I was led from Source to you.
Wow. I'm glad Source brought you to me because you're a great guest.
I only ask for, all information now when I receive from anything that I look at. Like, I don't even watch TV. I used to be a soap opera girl. My grandmother grew up watching soap operas, so I did as well, right? Like, TV does not do anything for me. And that's another thing, see, with the near-death experience, to let you know how Source have always been near me and have always given me synchronicities to a lot of things. At 7 years old, well, not 7, at about 8 or 9, I came home from school and I got real frantic because my grandmother, she was in the dining room, but she was looking at TV on the news. But I'm doing my homework in my room. I'm not paying attention, listening, but the news is on also in my room. Now, pardon me. Let's say she was looking at Channel 5. I was looking at Channel 4. So it was a female on her TV, a male on mine. When I go get her some water, now I'm starting to pay attention. Like I told you, I'm the type of person that always just pay attention to my surroundings and just hear, anything. So I can hear the lady talking, but then when I get it back in my room, now my door is open. So it's like the hallway's right here. I can hear her talking and I can hear the guy talking on the news, but they're saying the same thing, the exact same words at the same time. And I started screaming. And I ran in the dining room and I said, Grandmother, why are they talking? She said, well, baby. She said, baby, that's what the news all of us is like. I said, but they're saying the exact same words. That's not weird to you. So I just left it alone. And that's like I said, I'm a curious person. I will not stop until I look for answers. So the next day when I came home from school, I did the same thing. And that's when I learned about the news just lied to us. Because now this is just what I thought of to myself as a child. Like, they have to be lying. Why is everything is just so, it's like as if you're a robot to me, like it's programming. So I just started saying, I was like, the television is telling a lie. They're telling the lie vision. They're telling lies. They're programming them.
So how did this experience change you?
Oh my. Well, with my drug, I still was suffering with that. And I had started praying to God because like I said, I remember the blueness and everything. I never remembered. And my daughter, I don't know if she forgot because we never brought it back up. My son, he never brought it back up. We never talked about it again. All I kept telling them, I said, the last thing I said to them doing this, I said, they telling me that Alex, now my daughter's dyslexic. Alex, my daughter, she's something special. In this vision, they showed me that me and her, that she was they called her my data. Now, my daughter's name is Alexandria. So, like I said, synchronicities, the Alexandria library with a lot of things that was missing out of I don't know if are you familiar with that?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay. So, like I said, they told me, they said, you gave yourself synchronicities. My son, he's born January 20th to take down the great cabal. I don't know if I'm allowed to say this live because I'm only being truthful with you. It took 120 years through John F. Kennedy. I was told all of this, I was shown it. And I'm like, so this is how could I know when I was going to have connections with having this child? Like, I in my head. So the more as I'm a teacher student. I'm still learning, still learning like the art of the covenant. That was recent findings for me to understand that there were DNA codings. Now I'm telling you, this happened in 2015. Like, I've been trying to break down a lot of things. Dolores Cannon, that's my grandmother's marriage name, Cannon. But I started connecting with different synchronicities, finding people, looking things up. Then I'm starting to question what happened in 2015. So this is because now this has been me. something big had to happen in 2015. I understand that I was shocked. I understand that I was contacted. But it's like me having less confidence in myself. I just didn't believe that it just could have been, you know, I'm like, no, this has to be, it's bigger than me. It has to be more to this.
So how did you finally go back into your body?
They put me, that's what I was explaining to you. Now, remember, I'm out of projecting. They were showing me things. But once my children start to pay, I said, look, I'm understanding, but you guys have to bring me back. My kids are panicking. So that's when they brought me back and they just were talking to me. They start talking to me. They actually, because they can only, their densities, they cannot stay on this plane for so long. They cannot really at that time coexist in this space for too long. Hence to why they took me the way they did. Because now when I looked up, I was close. I know I had to be close to at least the 12th dimension, because that's where I seen that had to be sources. I wanted to go up there. It was a big bright light I'm talking about that will blind to the bright, but I wasn't that far from it. It was so beautiful. It was beautiful. And I wasn't far from it. But they said, no, you can't go there. And as I've been on the spiritual journey, I was told, you know, reading up and looking at a lot of videos that is pretty much, you're out of here to go to that level. So that's why they was like, no, you can't. They was like, no, you can't go there. They told me that, like, we can't let you go up there. Because I knew that was, you know, I knew that was God. It was just so beautiful. It was just nothing but brightness.
I just want to try to clear this up for myself.
Mm-hmm. No problem.
You forgot, they made it so you forgot everything, and then all of a sudden it came back to you in 2020. What made it come back to you? What happened?
Well, what happened is COVID. In 2019, I took real sick, and this is the thing. See, even though I might have forgotten, you know, your soul knows, your inner, you know, that's the only way I can explain it. Because all I kept telling people, I'm having these feelings. That's what because my grandmother, like I said, my grandmother was known as a psychic. Like my cousins, they used to laugh and they used to like make jokes and call me a witch, literally. They called me a witch, but it was not in a bad way, because they'd be like, see, you see grandmother, she a little witch. Look how she just like, but I'm just thinking that I was just, just coincidental type of thing, not knowing that I was a deep empath, not knowing that I literally was psychic all my life. And this is passed down from my grandmother. You know, I learned this, you know, later on. But I started having these feelings. And when I got real sick in 2019, it's before I moved here. And I was living with my cousin, and I got so sick in September. This is September 2015 now is when this happened. So when I took sick in 2019 in September, this was around the time when Kobe and his beautiful daughter, they passed, a famous rapper named Nipsey Hussle out here in California. You have to be on another planet not to know all these things, you know. I said, something big is about to happen. I told my daughter, I said, something big is about to happen. I said, one thing I know about the Illuminati. See, I've always been into that about the Illuminati. I said, one thing about them, when these deaths happen like this, something is about them. They're up to something. So I started looking at CNN instead of looking at regular news. Something just told me to start looking at CNN. So as I'm not feeling good, they're sitting up here saying China has a virus that's coming. See, the thing about it, if you have the majority of the world mourning over people that they worship, which is they celebrate celebrities, you know, people have to start using their words. All you have to do is use words. I mean, once you figure all this out and deprogram yourself, you're going to have a little stupid moment like, damn, They really, boy, you know, but you're not that quite, to me, they're not that smart. They're not that smart. I mean, I never went to college. I was a high school dropout. I got my GED before my son graduated from 5th grade. So this is all self-taught. This is nothing but the knowledge. You have to be willing to open and start asking these questions within yourself. And that's how these codings will open for anyone. Just start to question the what ifs and the, you know, what's going on. So I'm like, if they saying that this is a China virus, I said, this is going to move around the world. I'm like, I'm feeling real sick. I bought a box. I went to CVS and I bought myself a box of masks. Now, Jeff, as I tell you this is in 2019 before they locked everything down. I was wearing masks because I don't have a car, so I was on the bus. And when I got this sick, I had never been this sick before in my life. My mom, when she had me, she had the flu. So I was a sick kid. I would get sick real quick. So I'm just thinking like my immune system is weak, but this cough and that flu, which was COVID, it's the flu, but it was the worst that I've ever had in my life. I mean, I literally felt like I was dying, literally. But I refused to go to the hospital because, you know, that's another story about me and doctors.
So let me ask you this. You got sick and then did it all just start coming back to you at that time while you were sick?
It's like I start feeling I start having those feelings, like I said, but it was the deep part of feelings like, I don't care what nobody else say. Y'all can call me crazy. Something big is about to happen. That's when that just came to me, like something big is about to happen. And when before they locked everything down, I'm like, I need to start looking at what's going on. You know, I didn't vote for Trump. I didn't like him just because everybody else didn't like him. I said, I need to start looking at, we better start paying more attention about who's running our country. So I started planting my eyes on him. But what I knew, I started going back to that childhood about don't believe everything in the media. So then I started searching for myself, finding YouTube Black became my friend. This is before they start censoring YouTube the way it was. Alice Down the Rabbit Hole still existed. All of these people that were putting out certain things, you understand? So that's what and it just led me on that chaser. And then when Source contacted me again, it was through when I start to accept about the human trafficking and what's going on. And that's when I really start to pray back to God. I'm like, you know, I know you're not revealing this to me for no reason. What I will put my life on the line to fight for these children. My daughter is a victim of, you know, being touched at a young age. So that resonates deep within me, you know, and I would not ever want to see any other child be victimized. But just the things, you know, to know what I was seeing before the memories fully came in. My daughter, it's like, if you want to call it Satan, made my daughter turn evil against me. And me and my daughter's like this. And God came to me in the dream and he said, well, not he, Source said, you need Alex. And that's the only way you're going to get through this. Make her remember. I said, Alex, all I can tell you, God came to me in the dream and he told me to tell you to remember. Please, baby, start to remember. And I begged her to. And she's in there right now. I would be more than happy for her to be able to tell you her own story. But she ended up starting to pray and stuff. And we was in my room and she said, Mama, I just want to tell you, I've always had an imaginary friend. I said, baby, that was not an imaginary friend. I said, that had to be an archangel or some type of spirit that's always been talking to you. And it hurt me to not even know that all the time, my daughter all her life. And she said, because my brother made fun of me. So I never wanted to tell you because he made fun of me, and it was like, wow. So she had something special within her as well. So when she started to remember, when she started talking to me, it's like, as my daughter talking to me, as I'm telling you this now, all of the memories, Jeff, all of them came back. When I tell you what I have honestly experienced, it's something magical. And for me to have that feeling, and it just like hit me. And I just was like, oh my God. And like, I'm, like a kid, or like, when the NBA won a championship, like, I'm going to Disneyland like that. Like, I was just like, oh, I got a little dizzy just now. Like, it was just so, it felt good because it's like, okay, I'm not crazy. I'm like, data, your data, because they kept telling me, it was like, she's your data, like on the computer, save the data, save all the information. So that's what she was holding. She helped to open that for me, to bring it back to me, the memory. It was awesome. I mean, like, I know we don't have that long because my story goes so deeper than that. I'm working on my book. I call it The Great Awakening because that's what they told me. And one thing they told me, to make my kids to remember. And that's when my son finally remembered recently. I said, Anthony, do you remember what I told you in 2015? The future will prove the past. They told me the future will prove the past. Everything I'm telling you guys in this past, it's going to prove everything. I said, if I'm crazy, then hey, this is just, we can just laugh about this and say, well, Mama, you was crazy in 2015. I said, but if everything I'm telling you guys comes to pass, we're going to all have to ask ourselves a question. Just what do we really know?
Did you see anything else that hasn't come to pass yet that still might?
Yes. This is on a personal level. I thought my daughter father was my first love, which was my first boyfriend. My second boyfriend is my son's father. He isn't. We took a DNA test, but in the vision, they showed me that, Anthony, that's something I didn't tell my daughter. I kept that because I just did not want to give her that information. I chose to hold on to it. And Source ended up bringing it back to fruition because once I started getting tarot readings and I was asking to be divinely guided to people that I knew that were genuine and knew the work of how to really read from stars, do tarot reading in that type of way, and the channel in with Source. It's just like I was asking the weirdest questions, but come to find out, he is my twin flame. He is my other counterpart. Me and his families, we have reincarnated together. That's why it was not surprisingly to this day, his family is like, when we met, it was like they were my family off instant. Yeah, he's the father of my daughter. And he's Piscean. He's a Pisces. My daughter's a Pisces. And they told me that we will reunite. That has yet to happen because, everybody is given free will, and I would not dare try to. I'm not a con person, and I will not even manipulate to even for love. That's what I won't do. So, yeah, these are certain things that has not come into fruition. Now, that kind of would had me into doubt, and that's why I had to put my feelings aside as to not let my human body and not my spirit and soul of who I am take control of what I know I need to do, because regardless, this has to be put out here. I'm put here to raise the vibration of Earth and to help heal, because we are all going through transition. I mean, people don't even know that our world has changed. We have been upgraded, all of our DNA on this planet, and people is unaware of that. And when everything is, which it is going to come out, and I have information now that, will blow your mind. about people that's leaders that's no longer here. But to the naked eye, people think that they still are.
So how did you find out that you were Arcturian starseed? Did they tell you that, or did you?
No, they never did. That's it. That's the beautiful thing of it all. One side, like I said, source know who we are as beings, and I've been inquisitive, is what my mother called it. She said, I'm her inquisitive special kid. Like I've always, from a child, I've always asked questions. So once I got on my journey and started seeing everything, I was especially studying the stars and start going to different channels and stuff. I'm like, that being looked like the people I seen. So Scorpio moon, I would like to just put her out there. Hello, she's a tarot reader. She's very, very powerful. I started having her do pendulum questions for me before I learned how to do pendulums on my own, which I've learned. And she asked what kind of starseed I was for me, and she's Syrian. So when she was asking at first, the Pleiades, I am connected to them, but I'm fully Arcturian. I mean, like, I'm definitely Arcturian DNA. And another thing, as far as I said with synchronicities, my birthday is on Earth Day. So, I am Mother Earth in so many ways.
I like that.
But I at first, once I learned how the universe works, I was going to me and my daughter were going to be starting our channel together because she's a very powerful tarot reader. Like, my daughter can look at you and probably tell you what sign you are and tell you. She's deep empath. She knows how to channel back to when you were born. Like, she literally told me, and it had me in tears. Like, she's very powerful. Like, either you have me, so I've never told her the story of when I had her. She said, Mama, I actually seen when I was born. She said it was this lady, a nurse, and she was like Jamaican or something, and she had red hair. No lie. There's no way that my daughter would ever know that other than her being able to see it. So there's a lot of things that we are still in the process of learning, but I'm willing to put my story out here because it's not, they say it's like you look for your tribe, family. No, I'm looking just for the collective. We all have collected, and I'm not just talking about starseeds. I am talking about the whole collective of us, like yourself. We are collective. When you encounter people, we're just one. There is no color line. There is no, I really don't even kind of care for the starseed part and all of that. I can understand why, 'cause when it comes to technology, like, I've broken certain codes and I've gotten it to be able to just coding off the top of my head, like literally to the US. And I have the proof. I made sure that I took proof of it. They might want to come and ask me a few questions. That's only for trouble.
All right. Now, you said you're working on your book. Do you have any other projects that you're working on that you want us to know about?
Well, I'm ready to start my YouTube channel because I would want to call it I'm a spiritual being having a human experience. So my channel will possess, it's going to have news. I also meditate. I have chakra bowls. It's going to be tarot reading. It's going to be information of just how to heal things that you might want to go through phases and whatnot. That is what my main thing is to heal. I mean, that automatically, I know that I am. That's been genuine. I've been taking care of, like, when it even comes to medical. My son just recently had surgery, and the things that I was saying to the doctor, he said, "Why are you not working here?" I'm like, it's not my job, but naturally, it's things that I know, Jeff, and I don't even know where I get it from.
Now, after this podcast is published, people may want to reach out to you and chat with you. Are you
No problem.
Are you a public person? And if people want to contact you, how will they contact you?
This was my debut, and you are such a beautiful person. This is why I wanted to do my interview, and I knew that it was meant for me to do my interview with you, because I like how you coexist with people, and how you did your interviews.
Mhm.
You know, you allow people to talk, and just the way I received you, it's like as if that's one thing about when I watch anyone, whether it's TV or up close in person, I'm very good at energies and people pureness about them. So I don't have a problem with no questions. I don't want to be attacked because, as I said, everyone has a dark side. Believe it or not, that's one thing I want to honestly say. I was a gang member. I gang banged. I sold drugs. I was not perfect. You understand? So, just as nice as I am, I don't want to be attacked.
Mm-hmm.
You understand? Because I will stand for myself, but this is not about hate or debate or trying to. My thing is, I just want to share so others, there's a lot, especially in my community, people, they make fun. Do you know, especially I live in South Central LA. Can you imagine me trying to tell this story just to someone around me? I haven't. I've been looked at crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And, quit thinking that you guys are dreaming and hallucinating. We too exist. It's like, it's such a blockage for African Americans, blacks, whatever you want to call us. Like I said, I don't label myself. So if you want to say that we are the ones that were here first, why are you acting like that we have no capabilities? You don't act like you were here first because you think one way. But it's programming. It's not their fault. And that's what I'm here for, to, let others know. It's people out here just like me that is afraid to speak. And I just hope that I have openly made it open, especially it would have been easier for me to go with, let's just say, people that I know that will understand me, but I can't leave my own behind.
Well, from my podcast, I've learned that, there's lots of communities out there that people don't want to speak up. I just had a woman and she didn't want to speak up about hers in the Philippines, and I've had someone from India and they don't talk about it over there. So, and probably almost in every community, people really don't want to talk about it.
I have a lot of heart. If it's one thing, I'm not afraid of humans. So, as I said, when I first didn't just started out, I was ready to go up against whomever, especially when it came to the children. But my son, he's 10. He'll be 10 next month. He meditates now. He's grounded. Like, I'm starting something with him. I want to start him with if we can start our children at an early age, we can just change this whole thing around. Mm-hmm. It is time for us to put a change on all of this.
Right.
To make our world better.
Right. All right. Well, before we finish it up here, do you have one last positive message that you want to share with everybody?
Yes. The one positive message I have, where you might think you love yourself, you want to look more into self-love. When you start to look into self-love, because self-love is the most important thing of all. I spent my life not self-loving myself and giving more of me than I did to myself. So the most positive way to change the world is to change within yourself.
Thank you for that message, Nitrell.
Thank you.
Much. And thank you so much for being my guest. Once you get your YouTube channel up and running, send me a link so I can post it and put it in this podcast.
Yes, and that's my thing. I'm trying to learn how to set all that up. That's I need a little help. So whoever out there, my email address, please. My Facebook is Nitrell Townsend, and then my IG is Nitrell Lovely on my IG. So yes, if anyone wants to contact me, that's how I can be contacted.
All right, great. Whenever you get your book published, contact me so we can get you on and talk about your book.
Most definitely. Hopefully it has a good ending with my love story.
There you go. That'd be awesome.
Oh, I'm rooting for it.
All right, Nitrell. Well, thank you so much again for being my guest. I wish you the best and have a great evening.
You too. Love and light.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks for watching the JeffMara podcast. I really appreciate you. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. And if you do, there are loyalty badges and other perks depending on your level of membership. All you need to do is click the join button underneath the video to find out more. Thank you for your support.